When we think of wars, we usually picture fights over land or oil. But a new kind of conflict is popping up, a battle for water, the most basic thing we need to live. Water wars are fights that happen when the need for this precious liquid is more than what's available. These aren't just made-up stories for the future. They are real tensions and disagreements happening right now. They can happen between countries that share a river, between cities and the farms that feed them, or even between different businesses all wanting the same limited water. As our world changes, the fight for water is becoming a big problem for the future of people, making us rethink how we use and manage every single drop. The idea of water wars has been talked about for decades. In the past, Ismail Serageldin, who was a vice president at the World Bank, famously said, "The wars of this century were fought over oil, but the wars of the next century will be fought over water." This warning seems more true now than ever. The main problem is simply not having enough. Our global population is growing, businesses are getting bigger, and our climate is changing. All of this puts a huge strain on our limited fresh water supplies. When a river basin is shared by many countries, and the country upstream decides to build a dam, it can greatly reduce the water flow for its neighbors downstream. This can lead to big political problems and even the threat of real conflict. These conflicts don't always involve armies and battles in the usual way. They often start as political disagreements, economic punishments, or local protests. For example, a government might choose to give water to a growing city over the needs of rural farmers. This can cause social unrest and problems within the country. In another situation, a big tech company might build a huge data center that uses millions of gallons of water, causing tension with the local community that is facing water restrictions. These smaller disagreements are early warning signs of bigger, more serious conflicts that could get worse as water becomes even scarcer in the coming years. It's super important to understand what a water war means because it helps us see the dangers before they get out of hand. It's a competition that can turn hostile when there isn't enough water for everyone's needs to drink, grow food, or run our industries. The United Nations and other international groups are already watching these potential conflict spots all over the world, from the Nile River Basin in Africa to the Indus River in Asia. The question now isn't if these conflicts will happen, but how bad they will be and what we can do to stop them from turning into full-blown wars. Our planet's freshwater sources are drying up at an alarming rate, and the reasons why are both complicated and all connected. A big part of the problem is the fast-growing global population and how much more stuff we're using. Every new person needs water to drink, but they also need water for the food they eat, the clothes they wear, and the energy they use. As developing countries grow their economies, their citizens start living lifestyles that use more water, and that just adds to the global demand. This means that while the amount of fresh water on Earth stays pretty much the same, the number of people and businesses competing for it is growing fast. This makes our limited water supply thinner and thinner each year. Climate change is another big reason why the water crisis is getting worse. Rising global temperatures are changing weather patterns in big ways. Some areas are having longer and worse droughts, which makes rivers shrink and reservoirs dry up. At the same time, other areas are getting hit with too much rain and floods, which can pollute freshwater sources and damage water systems. Another big problem is the melting of glaciers, which act like natural water towers for billions of people, slowly releasing water all year long. As glaciers disappear, the seasonal water flow that many communities rely on becomes unreliable, causing both dangerous floods and serious periods of drought. Also, the demands from farming and industry have reached levels that can't be kept up with. Farming uses the most fresh water globally, making up about 70% of all water taken out of the ground. Many old-fashioned ways of watering crops are really wasteful, losing a lot of water to evaporation. At the same time, our modern tech world has a hidden thirst. Data centers, which power the internet and artificial intelligence, use huge amounts of water to cool their servers. In 2021 alone, data centers in the United States used an estimated 626 billion liters of water. As we rely more on technology, this unseen and often unregulated use of our water resources also grows, creating a new kind of competition. Finally, pollution and bad management make a lot of our existing water unusable. Industrial waste, farm runoff with pesticides and fertilizers, and untreated sewage often get dumped right into rivers and lakes. This not only harms water ecosystems, but also pollutes the water sources that communities depend on for drinking and daily use. In many parts of the world, old and leaky pipes mean that a lot of water is lost before it even gets to the tap. This mix of more demand, a changing climate, thirsty industries, and widespread pollution is creating the perfect storm for a global water crisis. The threat of water wars isn't some far-off future problem. The fight for water has already begun. Tensions are flaring up in different parts of the world, and it's a clear warning of what's to come. The United Nations predicts that by 2030, the global demand for fresh water will outstrip sustainable supply by a staggering 40%. This gap will especially fuel more conflict in regions that are already struggling with water shortages. We're already seeing these tensions play out. In Texas, for example, the population is expected to grow by 73% by 2070, while water supplies will drop by 18%, sparking political battles over who gets the limited water, the rapidly growing cities, the vital agricultural sector, or the energy industry. One of the newest and most surprising fronts in the water conflict is the tech industry. The rapid growth of artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency mining has created a massive hidden demand for water. The huge data centers that form the backbone of our digital world need enormous amounts of water to cool their servers. This has led to local conflicts in places once thought to be water secure. In the Netherlands, for instance, public outcry over the water consumption of new data centers led the government to put a temporary ban on their construction. These events show that the competition is no longer just between farmers and cities, but also involves some of the world's most powerful companies. In response to these growing threats, even global superpowers are preparing for a future where water is a strategic asset. The United States military, seeing water scarcity as a potential trigger for instability and conflict, is taking proactive steps. In October 2024, a system called Global Hydrointelligence, or GHI, went live. Developed in partnership with NASA, this advanced system is designed to monitor global water resources, predict droughts, and identify potential conflict hotspots before they turn violent. The very existence of such a program is a clear sign that the world's most powerful nations are taking the threat of water wars very seriously and are preparing for a more turbulent future. These conflicts are not just happening between countries, but increasingly within them. In Europe, Africa, and Asia, communities are protesting the construction of new factories and data centers in water-stressed areas. These local disagreements are the seeds of much bigger problems. As populations continue to grow and climate change intensifies, these small-scale tensions have the potential to grow into wider regional and even international disagreements. The struggle for water is becoming a multi-layered problem involving national governments, multinational corporations, local communities, and even decentralized digital networks, creating a complex and volatile new landscape for global security. The idea of water wars is scary, but it doesn't have to happen. We have the knowledge and the tools to manage our water better, in a way that's fair and lasts a long time. But we need to act now, and we need to do it together. The first and most important step is to get much better at using water in every area. In farming, which uses the most water, switching from old-fashioned flood irrigation to modern methods like drip irrigation and precise sprinklers can save a huge amount of water while still growing the food we need. Likewise, factories should be encouraged to recycle and reuse water in their processes, and cities can invest in fixing leaky pipes to stop the huge amounts of water lost in old city water systems. Second, we need to use new technologies and find more sources of fresh water. Desalination, which is taking salt out of ocean water, is becoming cheaper and uses less energy. It offers a lifeline to coastal cities that don't have enough water. Wastewater recycling and treatment is also a powerful tool. Advanced treatment technologies can turn sewage into water clean enough to drink, a process already used in places like Singapore and California. Investing in and growing these technologies can help increase our natural water supplies and take pressure off our overworked rivers and underground water sources. This can create a more stable water future for everyone. When it comes to shared river basins, working together, not fighting, is key to preventing water conflicts. International agreements and treaties that decide how water is shared between countries are super important for keeping peace and stability. These agreements should be fair, flexible, and based on scientific facts to to make sure everyone's needs are met, even with climate change. By setting clear rules and encouraging talks, countries can work together to manage their shared resources. They can turn a possible source of conflict into a chance for working together and helping everyone. This takes strong political will and a focus on long-term safety for the whole region. In the end, protecting our water future is everyone's job. Governments need to create smart rules that encourage saving water, while companies should use practices that are good for the environment. As individuals, we can also make a difference by being mindful of our own water use, from fixing leaky faucets at home to choosing products that use less water to make. Water is the lifeblood of our planet, and its value is far beyond any political or money disagreements. By working together to protect and save this precious resource, we can choose a path of cooperation and shared well-being. We can make sure our taps and rivers keep flowing for generations to come.